Okay, and welcome, whoever's listening, to another episode of Sai's Eyes, the life of a long-term multitasker. So, Sai, what what topic are you gonna rant about today? Honestly, I don't know, but I turned on the mic, and here we are just talking. But no, I was in a solid mood today. This is not the vlog, so let me be a little bit more pointed towards what I'm trying to say here. But so I was just eating dinner right now. Getting some ideas flowing, just brainstorming with myself, as one naturally does, trying to not eat as or consume as much content while I'm consuming food. Since I want the energy of whatever, the energy of whatever I'm watching or listening to will come into the food and into my body. So trying to be more aware of that and what I'm watching. Obviously not perfect, but at least maybe one meal a day I'll try to watch that. But anyways, having this little brainstorm session with myself, talking to myself, as sane, normal people always do. And then, honestly, who knows if my roommates hear me? They probably think I'm crazy too, but who knows? But so one of the ideas that I had, brilliant idea, was like, for obviously right now I'm doing solo podcasts, these monologues, these soliloquies, and so I wanted to. Was like, if I did get guests on the podcast, what, like, how would my format look like, right? What would my format look like? What would be the style? So I'm not necessarily trying to be a subject matter expert in anything, not trying to be an authoritative voice on a subject or on anything. I'm just kind of trying to have discussions. If that leads anywhere, it leads somewhere. If someone tries to find it valuable, they do. If they don't, then too bad. Maybe it was entertaining, maybe it wasn't. Am I trying to seek? All right, never mind. I'm going off topic here, but what really is the topic? So anyways, I was brainstorming. So how do I be different in this podcast realm, right? So I was listening to, trying to get more diverse perspectives when I'm listening to podcasts, right? So I think I've been doing a better job of that this year, listening to more, honestly, like more female hosted podcasts, more brown podcasts. So definitely want to continue learning from different people, and it's been pretty good. Sometimes I almost feel like I am exploring just for the sake of exploring. I almost got to draw that line of what's the intention behind listening and to these podcasts. So, because like, at what point do I draw the line of consuming content versus taking action on some of those takeaways slash stuff that I want to do anyways, right? Like, am I avoiding doing things because I give myself the excuse of I want to learn and just read books and listening to podcasts and watch documentaries and whatever? Am I giving myself that excuse? Is that a procrastination of doing things? A procrastination from doing things by feeling like I'm productive by doing consuming content and relevant content and informative content, but things that aren't moving the needle necessarily in terms of what I know I need to get done, what I know I want to get done. So that is procrastination. Anyway, we've gone off topic here already, gone off the rails. So let's unrail this. De-unrail this. I don't know. So the idea, so like everyone has these rapid fire questions, right? These rapid fire questions like, oh, what's the one takeaway, that it's like an hour podcast, and then the host asks them like, hey, what's your favorite, what's the best piece of advice you've gotten? I'm like, if you were listening to the podcast, hopefully there was some advice in there, right? If you were listening for an hour and you got nothing, what makes you think that this last 1 minute you're going to get something? And you might. The listener might. But what was the point of listening for the hour if you didn't get something in addition to that last takeaway, right? For example. So, there's that aspect to it. There's like the fun hitting, favorite song, favorite movie, favorite, that type of like, that I get. Just trying to break the ice, all that stuff. So that's fine, but like more serious kind of like rapid fire ones. I think like that kind of mentality is also kind of perpetuates the mentality of of like, give me this one thing that I can do and change my life. Like, that's not how it works. You're not going to do this one thing. Something may be a catalyst for changing your life, but that one thing necessarily isn't going to change your life on its own. Right? Like, the one piece of advice can be the building block, can be a foundational, layer for something that you want to build, or maybe a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the only thing. It can't be. Right? Like even epiphanies, right? If you have one, yes, it's a turning point, but then what happens after the turning point? The epiphany is the motivation, right? It's the motivation for you to do something. Is the catalyst, is the energizer to spur more action. So it kind of breeds that summarization culture of give me, like, I don't want to read this book. I don't want to watch a 2-hour video. I don't want to attend the course. Give me the 15-minute summary. Give me the Cliff Notes or Spark Notes, or whatever. It's been a while since I've used it. And so I'm not a fan. Like, if you're really interested in something, like, go read it fully. Don't take someone else's word for it. I say all this, and obviously I'm trying to do a better job of myself, not doing that. But I think for I made progress on it, so continuing to get better. Don't want to come off here as authoritative in any sense, but yeah, that's what I'm feeling there. So it gives off that culture, and so definitely. And so it also, in a conversation, right, when you have that rapid fire, those questions, you're not able to necessarily fully think. Yes, it's instinctive, and that can be telling of how a person thinks and can be insightful into their habits or their initial feelings and thoughts on something. And that can be pretty valuable. But I don't think there's enough content out there because everything is buying for your attention. Like social media, oh my God, news cycles, everything wants your attention. It's how can I keep your attention? How can I keep you on this platform for longer and longer? And that means keep being engaged. That means being distracted by something. That means having your eye on something and actually engaging with it. But what if we disengage. And not just in a disconnected, unplugged type of sense, right? Not just let me get away for a weekend and go to a getaway house and do that, right? How do we disengage in the moment, right? And then within the scope of this, in the podcast, how do we disengage? How do we not fall into that culture of, give me one takeaway, give me one action item, what's the best advice that you've gotten? What's the one person that you want to follow or that you should follow? Stuff like that. It's like this one, this two, this three things. It's like a blog post. Like, I'm not here to listen to a blog post. I want to hear someone's well thought out argument or discussion, have a discussion based around that, right? So I guess what I'm leading to here is, instead of these rapid fire questions in a podcast, what if we had time to disengage by just having silence? Kind of like that, but for a longer period of time. So, like, let's say it's a 30-minute podcast. 15 minutes in, it's a normal podcast. Both people are talking, or however many people are there. And then halfway through, like an intermission, you just stop talking. Both people stop talking and reflect on the ideas and thoughts that were shared in the past 15 minutes. Because a lot of the time when we're talking to someone, we're just thinking about, we're not necessarily thinking about what they're saying. We might be thinking about what we're going to say next. Right? I mean, this is an idea that I had in like just one-on-one discussions in general, but like, what if I brought this to a podcast? Like, let's have our discussion, but there's so much pressure and so much stigma around silence. I think it's getting better these days overall, but there's still that, I gotta fill that time up with something. I gotta grab your attention and keep it. Who says you can't keep your attention with silence? So just having that moment, that one, let's say 1 minute of people able to reflect on what was said and have an even deeper discussion going forward, instead of coming up with what's the next thing I have to say that's going to provide value to the audience. I think that I haven't seen that anywhere. And if you have, please share that with me, because I want to see how it goes, how it is. So I think that would be so. Oh shit. I think that would be pretty cool. So then obviously, like, a natural question arises. What should I call it, right? Is it, so it's not rapid fire, kind of, disengaging, disconnecting, like cooling down, right? I think, I was mulling around this for a bit, but what if I call it the ice bath? Opposite of fire, ice, fire and ice. So that's, the opposite there, opposite intended effect of rapid fire. Something related to ice, okay? Our icebreakers already exist. I'm not really trying to break the ice. We're in the middle of the ice, right? We are going down, submerging ourselves. We are soaking ourselves in the thoughts and the ideas. We are slowly dipping our toes into the deep, cold water. Then our knees, then our waist, then the rest of our body in this cold, unbearable discomfort. But once we're there for a bit, we feel relaxed, almost too relaxed. We feel that we can relax here. We find the joy in this ice bath. And then at the end of the time, we get out refreshed, rejuvenated, and re-energized with new thoughts, new ideas, new perspectives that we can then share. Yeah. The ice bath. Ice bath in the middle of the podcast. All right, so whoever the first guest is, whenever I have guests, if I ever have guests, we're going to do this ice bath together. Hell, we might even... Oh, that'd be pretty cool. I've not thought about this yet. What if we do a literal ice bath? Now that would be... It would kind of be like Hot Ones. Like, you're eating the wings with, see how far you can get with the host. But this is the ice bath. And then so that 1 minute of pause and silence, you're actually in an ice bath. Okay. Now, obviously there's logistics with this, but I think this would be kind of cool. This could be a TV show type of gig here. Obviously a lot of visuals, and it'd be cool to see who lasts longer in the ice bath. Well, I guess I gotta start training now. But yeah, so that was the idea, the ice bath. I guess the other quick idea that I had was, what about like a walking podcast? I know people get a lot of ideas when they're walking, when they're pacing, walking outside, getting some fresh air, brings a new perspective. I think that would be pretty cool too. Like a walking podcast. Obviously we can get the portable mics, whatever, put them on our shirts. And then more ideas are able to flow because we're walking. That's just a natural, that's just a, I think, proven thing. So I think that'd be pretty cool. I haven't looked into that as much or thought about that as much, but I think that and the ice bath would be kind of cool when, if and when I'm at the stage of having guests. So thanks for listening to this other, let me redo that one. Thanks for listening to another episode of Size Eyes, the life of a long-term multitasker. I'll see you when I see you.